Hello, today we're going to graph linear inequalities. And how do we graph linear inequalities? Well, we're going to learn it right now. Okay, graphing a linear inequalities is really easy. You need to know first how to graph linear equations. But we need to see what those linear inequalities are. Okay, so let's see what linear inequalities are. Linear inequalities is just the same as a linear equation, just that you replace that equal sign in a linear equation by one of the symbols. Okay, so let's see one example. X plus 2y equals 6. This is a linear equation. But if we replace this equal sign, we're going to have now this one. And this is an inequality symbol. So when we replace it, we're going to have x plus 2y is greater than 6. And now we have one linear inequality. But how do we graph? Okay, for graphing linear inequalities, we have 3 different steps. Number 1 says, find the equation of the line and replace the inequality symbol with an equal sign. What we're going to do is when we find the inequality, we're going to replace that inequality symbol by an equal sign so we can work with it and find the values we need in order to graph. Now, number 2, tell us that when you have to graph it, you're going to use a dashed line for this sign. This inequality symbol does not have a line under it, so you're going to use a dashed line. These inequality symbols are greater than or less than. Now, they tell us use a solid line when you have these inequality symbols. Greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. And you need to use a solid line. So you need to remember this when you graph. Now, our last step. Number 3, shade the side with a possible solution. You need to try on the both sides you have the graph and test with which side you have a possible solution. In the side you find the correct solution, you're going to shade it or color. Now, let's see one example so you can understand it way much better, this topic. Okay, and here we have one example that tells us 4y is less than 4x minus 3. So let's remember our steps. Step number 1 tells us that we need to replace the inequality symbol by an equal sign. And I replace my inequality symbol by an equal sign, having it like this. 4y equals 4x minus 3. Now I need to find my values in order to graph it. And I'm going to work using my intercepts, but you can also work using your slope-intercept form or the way you prefer the most. So when we work using intercept, we find the x and y intercept for our inequality. And I see, okay, for my x-intercept, I'm going to write my equation again. That is 4y equals 4x minus 3. And I'm going to replace my value of y by a 0. Like this. 4 times 0 equals 4x minus 3. Having it like this, now I multiply my 0 with a 4. Now I have 4 times 0 is 0. And I have 0 equals 4x minus 3. Now, I need to leave my variable completely alone. So I'm going to move my 4x that is adding on one side to the other side, subtracting. Like this. Negative 4x equals negative 3. Now, my x is not completely alone. So I'm going to move my negative 4 that is multiplying to my other side, doing the opposite operation. And my opposite operation of multiplication is the division. So I move my negative 4 to the other side, and I'm going to have it like this. X equals negative 3 over negative 4. Now that I have it like this, I'm going to see, okay, negative divided by the negative becomes a positive number. So I have x equals 3 over 4. Now, can I simplify this fraction? No, I cannot. So I'll leave it until there, and I'm going to see which is my order pair for my x-intercept. My order pair for my x-intercept is 3 over 4, comma 0. Now, I need to see which is my y-intercept. Again, I write my equation, 4y equals 4x minus 3. And now, I substitute my value for the x by a 0, having like this. 4y equals 4 times 0 minus 3. And 4 times 0 gives me 0. So I'll have it just like this. For y equals 0 minus 3. Or for y equals 3, negative 3. Now, I need to move my 4, that is multiplying my y, to the other side. And I need to do my opposite operation. My opposite operation is dividing. So I'm going to divide my 4, and I'm going to have this answer. Y equals negative 3 over 4. Having it like this, now, can I simplify it more? No, I cannot. So if I cannot simplify it more, I'm going to find which is my ordered pair for my y-intercept. My ordered pair for my y-intercept is 0, negative 3 over 4. Now, I'm going to graph. And I'm going to use the intercepts I find in order to graph. Okay, having it like this, I'm going to start graphing in my x-intercept. That is 3/4, 0. Just like here. Now, my y-intercept is negative 3 over 4. It's almost here. Now, I'm going to connect my lines. But the step number 2 tells me that I need to see my symbol I'm working with to make my line. And if my symbol does not have a line under it, I'm going to make a dashed line. Just like this one. Now, my step number 3. My step number 3 tells me that I need to shade one of the sides. But before shading it, I need to test. So I'm going to start testing with 0, 0 on this side. Any value. You can use 0, 0, or you can use 1, 3, or you can use negative 3, negative 3. You can use any of the values you have on all this side. Okay? So we're going to start testing with 0, 0. And we substitute the values of our inequality, having it like this. 4 times 0 is less than 4 times 0 minus 3. And I multiply, and I'm going to have it like this. 0 is less than 0 minus 3. Now, 0 is less than negative 3. Okay, now that I already have my answer in here, I can ask myself, is 0 less than negative 3? Yes or no? And if you answer yes, you're right. Because on here, 0 is not less than negative 3. It's greater than. So this means we cannot work with 0, 0. We cannot work with any of the values we have on this side. So we're going to try with the other side. And trying with the other side, we're going to see if we are right on the other side or if we were wrong with the other side. So now we're going to try with 1, negative 1. But as I tell you on the other side, you can work with any of the values. So we start in here. For y is less than for x minus 3. 4 times negative 1 is less than 4 times 1 minus 3. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. And 4 times 1 is 4. Having it like this, now I subtract my 4 with the 3. And I'm going to have negative 4 is less than 1. Now I see, is negative 4 less than 1? Yes, it's less than 1. Because remember, it doesn't matter that 4 is a greater value than 1, but if it has a negative sign, always the negative values are less than the positive values. So in this case, I can work with any of the values I have on this side. So I'm going to shade this side, and this will be my answer. With working with my 1, negative 1, my answer is possible. Now, let's see another example. And in that example, we're going to see if you understand it much better. Okay, in this example, we have 5y is greater than or equal to 15. So our first step is substituting the inequality symbol by an equal sign. Now that I substitute, I'm going to find my x and y intercept for this. But in here we have something really strange because we don't have two variables. We have just one variable. So if we have just one variable, this means that on one of the variables, I'll not be working with. As you can see in here, I don't have an x x-intercept because I don't have an x value. So this means if I substitute my y by a 0, I'm going to have it like this. 0 equals 15. But you can say, okay, my x-intercept is 0. No, your x-intercept does not exist. So you're not going to move on the x-intercept. Now, my y-intercept. I have 5y equals 15. Now, what I need to do in order to have my y-intercept? Well, my 5 is multiplying the y. So I need to move this 5 that is multiplying the y, doing the opposite operation. So this way, I'm going to have y equals 15 over 5. Now, I divide 15 over 5, and I got 3. So my y-intercept is 3. And my order pair for the y-intercept is 0, 3. Now, I go to my graph, and I start graphing it. I have in here 0, 3. Now, I see how this my line will be. I look at my inequality symbol, and if it has a line under it, this means my line will be a solid line. So I make my solid line just like this. And now I start testing with which side I'm going to work. If the side of the top or the side of the bottom. So I'm going to start working on this side. And I'm going to start working with 0, 0 because 0, 0 is way much easier. I have 5y is greater than or equal to 15. So 5 times 0 is greater than or equal to 15. I multiply 5 times 0 and I got 0. And is 0 greater than or equal to 15? No, it's not. So this means I'm not working with this side because my answer is not possible. So I'm going to start trying with my top side. On my top side, I'm going to use my value 1, 4. And if I don't have an x, I'll just work with my y, that is 4. And I'll have 5 times 4 is greater than or equal to 15. And I multiply. 5 times 4 is 20. So I got 20 is greater than or equal to 15. And is 20 greater than or equal to 15? Yes, it is. So if 20 is greater than or equal to 15, this means my answer is on that side. So I'm going to shade my top part. And these will be everything for this class. So if you have any doubt, you can leave it on the comments below. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.